starting with deal breaker number 1, the foundation failure. This is the perfect first example, but not all cracks are created equal. You have vertical cracks that run straight up and down. These are incredibly common and they're usually just cosmetic settling as the concrete cures, and they're rarely a structural threat. But if you have diagonal or stair-step cracks that zigzag through the concrete blocks, which point to differential settling, meaning one corner of the home is sinking faster than the rest of the home, then that is something to look at. But the ultimate walk-away red flag is a horizontal crack running sideways straight across the wall. This is a direct sign of hydrostatic pressure, meaning that the saturated soil outside is actively pushing your basement wall inward, causing it to bow. So while vertical cracks just need a quick seal, a horizontal crack is an immediate structural failure that requires major engineering to fix. And this is so important to check for because even brand new homes aren't safe from this. Major builder Taylor Morrison faced massive legal battles over construction defects where homeowners alleged that their concrete foundations were actively failing, causing the homes built on top of them to shift, buckle, and crack. Repairing a structural failure like this is definitely not a quick DIY project, and it often requires excavating the entire yard to relieve soil pressure or physically jacking the house up to install steel piers. Even in a brand new house, you're not safe from this one. Deal breaker number 2 is a bad roof. And actually, it was a home buyer's experience with a bad roof that changed real estate laws forever. That's how serious roof issues are. So what happened was, back in 1982, a couple named Morton and Edna Davis fell in love with a 3-year-old home in Florida and put down $31,000 as a deposit. Now, right before closing, Edna was walking through the house and noticed some buckled plaster and water stains on the ceiling. She asked the seller, Clarence Johnson, about it, and he told her that the stains were minor, had already been repaired, and that the roof was watertight. So the Davises took his word for it and moved forward with the deal. But before they officially moved in, a heavy rainstorm rolled through, and when Edna went to check on the house, she found water actively gushing from the ceilings in multiple rooms of the house. The roof was inherently defective, and replacing it was going to cost $15,000, which back in the 80s was equivalent to over $50,000 today. So the Davises sued to get their deposit back, and this case went all the way to the Florida Supreme Court. Back then, the old rule of caveat emptor, which literally means buyer beware, was the law of the land, meaning that sellers didn't technically have to volunteer information about defects in their home, but because this one bad roof, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the buyers, establishing the modern law we use today. Sellers must disclose any known hidden defects that affect the value of the home. But here's the catch for you as a buyer today. Proving that the seller knew about a leak after you've already closed is a massive, expensive legal nightmare, and oftentimes it's impossible. So you can never just rely on a seller's disclosure. Deal breaker number 3 is bad or defective HVAC. Replacing a furnace or an AC unit is a major capital expense. If the heating and cooling systems are at the very end of their life expectancy or actively failing to hold temperature, then you're looking at an immediate post-closing bill of several $1,000s. But it's not just about comfort. It is also a major safety concern. In older furnaces, the metal heat exchanger inside the unit can rust and crack over time. A cracked heat exchanger is a severe safety hazard because it can leak odorless toxic carbon monoxide directly into the home's ventilation system. If a system has a cracked heat exchanger, the gas company or an HVAC technician will legally red flag the unit and shut it off on the spot, forcing an immediate $5,000 to $10,000 replacement. Beyond that, older air conditioning units that still use R22 Freon, a refrigerant phased out due to environmental regulations, are nearly impossible to service affordably. If an R22 system leaks, you can't simply recharge it. The astronomical cost of reclaimed Freon means you are forced into replacing the entire system. Now, deal breaker number 4 is electrical problems. This goes beyond a simple loose outlet. We're talking about fire hazards and outdated wiring like knob and tube, aluminum branch wiring, or obsolete dangerous electrical panels. If a home has these, many insurance companies will flat out refuse to write you a policy. This has to be addressed. This is a well-documented industry issue. Millions of homes built between the 1950s and 1980s were installed with Federal Pacific Electric, aka FPE, or Zinsco electrical panels. Decades of testing eventually revealed that these panels have a massive defect rate, where the circuit breakers fail to trip when overloaded, leading to devastating electrical fires. Because of this, major insurance carriers nationwide blacklist these panels, making the home virtually uninsurable until a licensed electrician completely replaces the surface. And additionally, if a home still has ungrounded two-pronged outlets throughout, it means the entire system lacks a safe path for the electrical surges to dissipate. Upgrading a panel and completely rewiring a home to bring it up to modern standards can easily run anywhere from $10,000 to over $25,000. Which brings us to deal breaker number 5, termite and pest damage. Wood-destroying insects can silently eat away at the structural framing of a home. If active termites or historical wood rot are found, the home must be professionally treated, and any structurally damaged wood must be reinforced or replaced. What makes this a hidden nightmare is that termites eat homes from the inside out, meaning that the worst damage is completely invisible, behind finished drywall or inside crawl spaces. A standard inspector looks for superficial signs like mud tubes on the foundation, but to know the true extent of the structural damage, you often need an invasive pest inspection where wall linings are completely removed. There is a huge difference between drywood termites, which live entirely inside the wood and often require tenting and fumigating the entire house, and subterranean termites, which live in the soil and require chemical barriers around the foundation. If the pests have compromised the main sill plate, which is the wooden board that sits directly on the concrete foundation that supports the entire weight of the house, you are looking at an incredibly complex, highly expensive structural repair. So once you get an inspection report back after making an offer on a home, it's time to make an official response as a buyer. And you essentially have 3 options. And there's more than one negotiation technique that you can use to resolve your issue. Keep in mind, while I'm going over these negotiation techniques, that I also offer a free service where if you want to be connected to a local real estate agent, just fill out the form in the description that I have below, and I'll put you in touch with someone who is highly qualified in your specific market. And if you're looking for a realtor in Buffalo or the Western New York area and want to work with me and my team, I have another link for you to check out, also in the description, and I can set up a free buyer's consultation for you, whether you want to buy or sell. So the first option that you have as a buyer is to ask for a price reduction, or even better, seller concessions. This is almost always the best route for big ticket items. Instead of asking the seller to do the work, you ask for a price reduction, or even better, a closing cost credit. That client that I mentioned earlier in this video, he got a seller concession for $10,000 for that foundation issue, which reduced the amount of money that he had to bring to the closing table. This freed up his savings to hire his own trusted contractors to do the work right after closing. Sellers often prefer this too because they get to wash their hands of the property without having to manage a stressful construction project. So this option really is a win-win. The second option that you have is to demand that the seller complete the repairs before closing. If you choose this route, you must require that the seller hire a licensed, insured professional to fix the issues before you sign the final papers. If you go this way, you need to write highly specific terms into your inspection response, demanding that all the work be completed by licensed contractors, that permits are pulled, and that paid receipts and warranties are delivered to you before the final walkthrough. Option number 3, you can walk away and keep your earnest money deposit. If you have a standard inspection contingency in your contract and you discover one of these major structural or safety issues that the seller flat out refuses to fix or credit you for, then you can legally cancel the contract and still get your earnest money deposit back. And you can walk away to find a home that is not a financial liability. No matter which path you take, the first step the moment your inspector flags a major issue is to pause and gather as much real data as you can. That way you have something solid to present to the seller and the seller's attorney, who is going to look over this information too, and you want to protect yourself. Get a professional assessment in writing with a detailed quote if you can. That quote is your ultimate leverage at the negotiation table. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.